All right. Hello, grade 8s. So, I think the last lesson that we did on multiplying fractions with whole numbers is modeling this on a number line. Okay? So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to demonstrate this again using the same examples that we did in class. So, starting with this one, 3 times 2/3. Wow. But first, we're gonna do the math like we did, like in class. At least we have to be able to do that part of these. So let's do the multiplication of this first, algorithm way, and then we'll model it after. Okay. So if you want to multiply a whole number with a fraction, simply turn the whole number into a fraction over 1, because that's what the whole number 3 is as a fraction. 3 divided by 1 is 3. Okay, and this is how simple multiplying fractions is. So now you just simply multiply the numerators and then multiply the denominators. And later multiplications of fractions later on will show you that we can actually cancel this 3 with this 3, but let's not worry about that right now. So in the end, this 3 times 2 is equal to 6, and this 1 times 3 is equal to 3. But notice that this is a top-heavy number, in other words, an improper fraction. So we actually have to reduce this, and this really translates to 6 divided by 3, which is equal to 2. Okay? So hopefully, when we do this on a number line, our answer is also going to be 2. Well, let's try this. So in class, I told you, so create yourself your number line, starting from 0, and you can go ahead and make a number, whole numbers up to 3, even though, you probably won't use up all 3. It just makes sense that we have 3 wholes, and then we'll do up to 3. So then I asked you, what denominator should we start with here? Now that we have a number line from 1 to 3, big deal. So how do I know what denominator I should use, or how many segments I should cut each of these holes? Well, it's right here. Okay. The denominator we're working with here is 1/3. In this case, they're asking you 3 of 2/3. So we're going to divide each of these whole numbers into thirds, like so. So now, from 0 to 1, we have 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 1 and 1/3, 1 and 2/3, okay, etc., etc. So this question is asking, what is 3 of 2/3? Well, in other words, we're going to count 2/3 3 times. 1/3, 2/3. Here's a 2/3. That's 1. Another 2 hops, 2 notches, is another 2/3. That's 2. And another 2/3 is 3 2/3. Therefore, where did we end up? We ended up at this answer, number 2. And so that's what matches our answer. Okay? Now, when we get an example that looks like this is the one that's a little bit more challenging. But this time, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change this example from the one that we've done in class. So in class, we had 1/4, and this time I'm actually going to go 3/4 times 3. Okay, so this is asking, what is 3/4 of 3? Well, that's a little bit hard to picture, but I'll show you how to do that here. When the order is this way, when the factors are reversed, you'll see that it's actually much more challenging to do it this way, unless I get somebody that views this video and gives me a disclaimer or some advice on how to do this modeling better. But in other words, we're going to give it a try, and this is how we showed you in class, and this is how I've been taught. So, but first, let's do the math for this. If you want to multiply 3/4 times 3, you just simply write the whole number as a fraction over 1 again, like so. And then the multiplication is simple. You multiply the numerators, 3 times 3 on the top, and then multiply the denominators at the bottom. And finally, you get 3 times 3, which is 9. 4 times 1 is 4. And again, we have ourselves a top heavy or an improper fraction. Therefore, this will have to be translated into 9 divided by 4. Okay, long division, remember this? So how many 4s are in 9? 2. 2 times 4 here is 8. So our remainder is 1. So our answer here, 2 1/4. So hopefully this is what will end up when we actually do this on a number line. Let's give it a try. So I'm going to draw a number line here, starting at 0, and I'm also going to go all the way up to 3. 1, 2, 3. So now pay close attention to what I'm going to do here. I got my 3 hole, and I want 3/4 of this whole thing. Well, it's kind of hard to tell exactly where 3/4 of this entire thing is unless we segment it into parts that we can actually measure and divide. Well, okay, how do we do that? What should we start with? Start with this denominator that we have, which is quarters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to part each of these whole numbers into quarters like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, they're in quarters. From here to here, they're in quarters. From here to here, 2 to 3, they're in quarters. So now, the trick that I showed you in class is, how do we now divide this into quarters? Well, if you still can't see it, that's okay, because we have to do this other little extra step, which is cover these whole numbers first. And now we're actually going to count how many notches we actually have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then I asked you, if you have 12 notches, how do you divide 12 into quarters? Into quarters, because that's the denominator we're trying to find out. We're trying to find 3/4 of 3. So now here's your 3, even though you don't see it as 3, there are 12 segments in here. How do you divide 12 into into quarters? So we'll do that off to the side. 12 divided by 4 is 3. This 3 that I got here means every 3 steps, every 3 segments here is a quarter. A quarter of 12. Oh, doesn't that make sense? Isn't a quarter of 12 3? Yes, it is. So we have 1/4, and we have, well, we need 3/4 of it. So we have a quarter, 1, 2, 3. Here's 2/4, 1, 2, 3. And here's another quarter where you have actually 3/4 of 3. 3/4 of this 3 is right here. And it is actually 2 1/4, which is exactly the answer that we got here. Okay? And yes, I know this second example is a little bit more challenging, but I hope when you view this video, take your time, okay? Start with the number line of the whole number that you're given, 1 to 3, then divide this entire thing into using the denominators that you've been given. And then once you have the number of notches over here, you divide that also again into the denominators that you're given, and that'll give you the number of notches that it's worth for that denominator. I hope this helps and helps you with your assignment. And if anybody anybody else views this video and hopefully give me a little bit of advice on how to show this better or model this better, please let me know. But for now, thank you very much.